Hello everyone, welcome to Kitchen Conversations with Amberth. Today we will be talking about 5 things to look out for when choosing a kitchen hot water tap. My guest today is Dylan Benjamin from Quooker, UK. Hello Dylan.
Hi Inga, you okay?
Yes, very good.
Good.
I wanted to introduce you. So I wanted to tell our audience a little bit more about you. I know that you've been part of the Quooker sales team since 2019, and you joined back in 2018 as office assistant, and you've been working with them since. And now you got the expertise in customer relations and product knowledge. And that's why it's so great to have you here to share your knowledge and expertise with us.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. I also wanted to introduce Quooker. Quooker has been on the market since 1970, when it was invented by Henry Petrie. It is the only boiling water tap that available on the market. It's similar to Amberth. Quooker is a family-owned company, and that shares enthusiasm and entrepreneurship. So it's great to work with you guys because I think we share the same values. Today, I would like to ask you some questions about a product, like a hot water tap in general and specific about a Quooker. So first of all, I would like to start with why should we consider a hot water tap for a new kitchen, or when we design the kitchen, or even when we've got our kitchen and we would like to upgrade it? Would the hot water tap be a good idea?
So I'd say, and I think most people in the UK would agree, we drink a lot of hot drinks, whether that's during the summer, the winter, which obviously requires you flicking on that kettle, possibly even multiple times a day. Now, in total, you're wasting around, if it's twice, probably around 4 minutes of your day, which doesn't seem like loads, but in the long run, you're using a lot of time. I think we worked out it's around 4 months of your life, as an average. And we found that with our systems, considering you've got instant boiling water on demand when you need it, you're getting that time back, which is one of by far the main things that we offer here. But at the same time, it also frees up a lot of space on the worktop. It means you don't need a kettle anywhere near anymore. It might be that you're getting rid of about 3 kettles, because I know, for example, at home, we used to have one in the kitchen, one in the utility room as a spare. Now we don't need either. But as well as that, as you said before, we are the only true 100-degree boiling water tap on the market. So we'd suggest that really we're the only true replacement for a boiling for a kettle. The way we store our water is in a stainless steel tank, which is something that we have a patent on. So it's really important to sort of think about the patents that we have on our system. It's what's really kept us at the top of the market as the market leader. And in total, we've got around 80 plus patents on all of our systems. Really, it's just the most high-tech boiling tap you can find on the market. We're around 30 years ahead. As you said, we started in 1970. We only came over to the UK in about 2004. And since then, we've just grown and grown. So I'd say similar to a dishwasher in regards to how that wasn't really in every household. We are aiming to sort of get to that point where you'd be more surprised that there isn't one in the house than if there was one. And we really do think we're getting to that point. We will do very soon.
And also, it's quite important to mention that it actually saves water. Many of us remember that when you've got a kettle around, you actually always fill it up with water, heat it up, and then use a little bit, and then again and again. Or some people used to just get rid of the water what was remaining. Also, I think it's quite important to mention that Quooker actually can be used for something else than tea and coffee. When you remove the skin from tomatoes, you can actually use it for cooking, for pastas, for anything that you would think of in terms of using boiling water. I think for our clients and people coming to our studio, we've got lots of families with children. And there is a safety, the child safety on the tap. So if you could tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, of course. And really, at Quooker, safety is by far one of the most important things. We're well aware that boiling water is probably one of the more dangerous parts of your kitchen, things that you use every day. But we have four main safety features on all of our systems by themselves. So just the taps alone, not to mention the ones we have on the accessories, the boiling tank, for example. I'd say the first safety feature that you will notice as a customer is how you turn the boiling water on.
Yeah.
So it's with a double push and turn on the collar. So it's completely separate to the hot and cold lever. So there's going to be no mistakes made accidentally turning on boiling water if you're going to wash your hands. And if you've got guests around or children that have never used the tap before, they'll have no idea how it works. There's nothing on the tap that says double push and turn for boiling. So as long as you haven't shown them or told them, they will never work it out. So we're just very, very happy in regards to safety. With that one in particular as well, being a pattern of ours, it just means that there are no mistakes going to be made and it'll always be a conscious decision to actually turn your boiling on. But not to mention, once the boiling water's already on, the spout's going to be completely insulated. So you can have your hand right at the very end of the tip of the spout as the water's leaving the tap, and it won't get hot at all. It'll stay the same temperature it was before you turn the boiling on. And then, in my opinion, the most important, and I think most of our customers that already have a system would agree, is to do with the aerated flow. What the aerated flow is it actually breaks the flow of boiling water up. So you may have seen in videos or, for example, adverts where the flow of our boiling water doesn't look like a normal stream of water. It's essentially broken up as it leaves the spout because we're adding air into the flow. And that just means if you accidentally caught your hand underneath, you won't be burning or scalding yourself because you'll have enough time to move your hand out of the way. Essentially, that aerated flow just allows the speed that you'd be pulling your hand out of the way once you've realized it's boiling water, will allow you to just move it out quick enough to make sure you don't burn yourself. And it's something that we do every day to demonstrate it to our customers that come into our showroom. And it's something that I'm really confident will always be relayed onto your system too. These taps they've been on the market, the UK market since 2004. As you said, being originated in Holland in 1970, and we've actually got an untarnished safety record. And I'd put it really heavily down to the main safety feature, in my opinion, being the aerator. But all of them combined do allow us to achieve that.
Well, as I might say that, many of our clients is we kind of have to provide training how to put the tap on, and it takes them a couple minutes to actually get it, because not only double tap and turn, but you also turn it anti-clockwise, which is a little bit different way of doing it. So I think a combination of both makes it quite difficult to do it accidentally. So of course, if you know how to do it. In terms of you've got different styles and different finishes available. If you could tell us a little bit more, there is a huge variety of designs within the kitchen industry. And I think it's quite important to understand that most people can find something for themselves. So it's not like the hot water tap has to be with a certain style of the kitchen. It can actually accommodate different styles.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. So as you said, we offer a very wide range of styles and finishes. I'd say really, if I was going to go through our collection, we've got our Flex tap, which of course is the main tap that we're running, sort of advertising at the moment. It's of course our tap with that flexible pull-out hose. And since we released it, it's by far been our more popular one.
If I may interrupt, just a quick one, because that also is with the safety feature, isn't it?
That's right, actually. A very good point. Completely slipped my mind. But with the Flex in particular, as an extra safety feature, if you pull the flexible hose out whilst the boiling water is working, it will cut the flow of boiling off.
Yeah.
Now, as I'm sure you can imagine, it's just to make sure you're not accidentally spraying it at yourself, someone else, or the floor, really.
No. But at the same time, the Flexi is actually very useful in the kitchen, especially now when we looking into large bowl sinks, which we discussed in the other episode. And it is actually quite useful to have the spray and be able to spray it. So when you use cold and hot water as a standard tap, it actually is very useful. But you also have got other models, which if you could tell us about.
Yeah, of course. So the next model that we talk about normally would be our Fusion tap, and the Flex and Fusion are very similar in what they supply. As standard, they'll both do regular hot and cold water, sort of domestic hot and cold, as well as filtered boiling, as well as a number of accessories you can add on, of course, to add any other flows. But whilst we're on the topic of taps, the Fusion the main difference between that and the Flex is the fact that the Fusion doesn't have a flexible hose. Now, because it doesn't, it can come in a round sort of swan neck style of tap like our Flex, but you also have the option of a square style tap instead. So with the Fusion, you've got a bigger option of style, whereas with the Flex, you've got the benefit of the flexible hose. So really, that decision is quite easy, just deciding if you think you'd use the hose or not, if it'd come in handy or if it's just something you'd forget about. But really, we also do have a classic Fusion range, which is a more just sort of traditional style of tap. So if you've got more of a sort of shaker style kitchen, maybe a country kitchen, our classic Fusions would most likely look a bit, I guess, more comfortable in the kitchen. They look like they match a lot more. We also offer our Nordic twin taps, just closely following up to the classic Fusions. And the main thing about our Nordic twin taps is that it does come as sort of two different taps. So you'll get a regular hot and cold tap as standard, as well as a filtered boiling tap. And now that filtered boiling tap can also supply the other functions that we do offer as an accessory. But you do also have the option of buying the boiling tap by itself. So if you don't want to get rid of your main mixer tap and you're quite happy with the one that you've got, we can just add an additional tap, which would be called our Nordic single tap.
Yes, that's a very good point, because we also have a discussion about what if you've got an existing kitchen and you would like to really look into that option of having a hot water tap. And yes, the Nordic twin tap offers you that flexibility on upgrading your existing kitchen. You've been talking about accessories, and I realized we haven't mentioned, we're talking about a 4-in-1, which is the cold, hot, filtered and boiling water. But you actually have added something very special to your range and to your kind of accessory.
Yeah, our most recent accessory that we've released is our cube accessory, and I'd say for most households it is perfect. You get filtered chilled water, like a American style fridge freezer, for example, and filtered sparkling water straight out of that tap. So all 5 functions through the one tap. I mean, really, you're saving not only a load of space, but also a load of plastic bottles. If you think about how many bottles of water you're buying, how many bottles of sparkling water you're buying, it eliminates that need completely. So really, it's just making sure that a customer has that option. If they absolutely love sparkling water, you can add that on our system. If you really like the idea of chilled drinking water, but don't really like the idea of sparkling, we offer that cold water filter that, of course, you mentioned in that 4-in-1, which gives you cold filtered drinking water. But one thing in particular about that is it's going to be the same temperature as the tap, sort of cold feed rather than chilled like the cube. So you've got different options of temperatures. You've got different options of sparkling and non-sparkling. I'd say really it's one of the best times to be looking at getting one of these taps because of all the options that are available for you.
Yes, I must say it actually offers you a full range, and it's really interesting to see our clients' faces when they visit our studio and when we offer, would you like some water to drink? And then we ask, would you like sparkling or still? And then we go towards the tap and they like, okay, what's gonna happen next? So not everyone is familiar with that, and I think they really enjoy it, and it's actually a lovely feature to have. In terms of the colors, as we're talking about styles and we're talking about designs, and at Amberth we designed the kitchen to our clients' requirements. They fully bespoke and custom made. Therefore, we would like to have a choice in terms of the colors as well. So what do you offer in terms of the finishes?
Yeah, so we offer quite standard appliance finishes like a polished chrome or a stainless steel. We also recently brought out our matte black finish, as well as a number of brass finishes too, like a patinated brass, which is quite a dark brass, and unlacquered brass, which is more of a lighter brass. And we also have our 24 karat gold plated finish too, which funnily enough actually started out as a limited edition finish, but we had the demand to keep it in rotation. So it's still available today.
Well, yes, that must be a beautiful color to have. And in terms of the installation, because we already touched on if we can add the tap to existing kitchen. So I understand that it's possible. We've got a bit of limited choice for that, do we, in terms of one product?
Well, to be fair, it really depends, because whilst there is one product that you can simply just add on, means of course you don't have to change anything in the kitchen. we can always come and swap an existing tap if you
Yes,
want it
that's
to be
actually
a
nice.
mixer tap as well. So whilst there is one clear option, if you're happy with the tap you've got, don't want to get rid of it, that'd be our Nordic single tap. But we are always able to retrofit our hot and cold / boiling taps as well. So
Mhm.
really the only thing that we'd consider you need to just make sure of in an existing kitchen at least is just how much space you've got below the sink. Of course, our systems do have those tanks that you'll need. We'd recommend in a regular sized kitchen cabinet around 600 millimeters. That'll be more than enough room. If you've got a bit less or a bit more, if a bit more, great. If a bit less, don't worry, we'll always find a solution for it. Our engineers really, if of course you do have the systems installed through us, if not, it's absolutely fine as well. But if you do, our engineers will always do their best to make sure that they fit it in, whether that means moving a few things away from the cabinet or possibly even using an adjacent cabinet. So, we've got various different configurations that we can do for you. So as long as you've got appropriate space around the area you want it installed, that'll be absolutely fine. Really, the only other thing you need to keep in mind apart from that is, of course, power, because our boiling tanks
Yeah.
and the cube accessory that supplies filtered chilled and filtered sparkling water both do need a 13 amp plug socket. So you'll need at least one socket, maybe two, depending on which option you went for. But really, as long as you've got a free cabinet, and not all the cabinet will be used, and at least one socket, you'll have enough in place to have this installed.
Well, talking about sockets, I think, as you mentioned before,
Yeah,
as most kitchens got now dishwashers,
sure.
and the dishwasher is connected to a socket, it's possible that there is a good power supply close by, and it can be always run. Additional power supply can be run to the sink unit as well. How far away from the sink unit we can position the tanks?
So our tanks can actually be placed up to 2 meters away from where
Oh,
the tap's
right.
going. Essentially, all you'll need is one of our extension hoses that we can supply. But yeah, if you don't have enough space directly below the cabinet, we can always just use an adjacent cabinet, maybe some dead space in an island, for example. And again, depending on how sort of far away you need it, we've got different options of size as well. So the only thing you need to sort of think about if you do want it a bit further away from the tap is, of course, just thinking about where the socket will be in relation to where the tank will go. Worst case scenario, although we can't suggest that you use a regular extension lead on that socket, we do supply a power switch, which is a fully regulated extension
Yes.
lead. And that just means there's going to be no power overloads with the system if you do use it, but it of course allows you to use a socket up to 2 meters away.
Great. Could you elaborate more on the accessories? We
Yeah,
did
of course.
touch base on it, but what accessories do you offer with the taps?
So with our taps, we offer that cube accessory that I mentioned earlier for the chilled and sparkling water, as well as our cold water filter. And the cold water filter is that other accessory I mentioned, where it will supply filtered cold drinking water that will be the same temperature as the regular cold tap. We do also offer a lime scale filter, which is called our Scale Control Plus. So, for those customers in a hard water area are worried about lime scale buildup and don't have a softener that we know is compatible, then you can fit a lime scale filter on your system, and any lime scale buildup will always be taken care of. Now, of course, with all of our accessories, we do have sort of filter cartridges that need replacing over time. But
Uh,
yeah, sorry.
and how often do we have to replace them?
So there are two filters inside the cube accessory that need to be replaced annually, and it's a set of both of them for £70. So they come under one cost. The replacement filter for our cold water filter needs to also be changed annually, and that's a £50 replacement. And
Lovely.
for the Scale Control Plus, it is a bit more frequent. You're looking at replacing the cartridge every 4 to 6 months, and it's an
Okay.
£80 replacement cartridge. Now, I will say, though, there are some other solutions for lime scale. So that filter, whilst it is one of the main options you'll see, there are two other options available for a customer too, if you're not that keen on getting a filter for it.
All right. Okay. And in terms of, is it quite easy to replace those filters? People can do it themselves, or do they have to call a specialist to do it for them, or it's a simple?
So the filters for all of our accessories are really simple. You, in most cases, will just unscrew the old one and screw in a new one. Really as
Oh,
easy as
right.
that.
Okay.
There is a filter inside our boiling tank as well that needs to be replaced, and that's not necessarily as easy as sort of unscrewing it and screwing it back in. But it is just a matter of taking a few screws out of the tank, taking the top of the tank off. You can then have straight access to the filter and change it over
Okay.
that way. So that just requires a bit more hands-on, sort of hands-on activity. But as long as you're okay to do that, then you can do it yourself, or you can have an engineer come out and change it for you.
Or you can ask your neighbor who likes DIY.
Absolutely.
And then, ask them a favor. We've got the hot water tap. We've got a Quooker tap on display, fully working, that we use for our clients on a daily basis.
Mm-hmm.
And it actually has got a feature where it actually makes noise when the filter needs replacing.
That's right.
So, it's not something that we have to keep a note in our calendars, and it actually resets itself. It is resetted when it's replaced, and then it keeps us on the toes and let us know when it needs to be replaced.
Absolutely, yeah. So every 12 months, like you say, it will beep. All you need to do is press a button on top to stop that. Once the filters are replaced, again, as you say, it will be reset for the further 12 months. So you'll never have to constantly check the filter. You'll never have to constantly sort of take it off, have a look inside, and replace it if you find that it needs replacing, because the system itself is designed to let you know when it needs replacing. So simply just once it starts beeping, order a replacement filter. By the time it's been delivered, the beeping actually does start early. By the time the filter's been delivered, the filter will have then actually run out. Of course, you can replace them, press the button again to reset it, and then you're good for another 12 months.
And all the replacing parts can be ordered from your online shop, or is it the parts department that people just call and get them ordered?
So we actually have most of our spare parts on our website available to just purchase as and when you need it. There are a few more sort of technical parts, like, for example, replacement pipes, I guess inlet valves, for example, that you can simply just give us a call. We can place an order for them with our service and spare parts team, and be delivered to you in about 3 to 5 working days at the very most.
Lovely. We had some conversations with our clients about the water pressure.
Sure.
Some of our clients are concerned that the water pressure is going to drop significantly if we install a hot water tap, and especially when we use filtered water. So if you could tell us a little bit more about that, and how to assure the clients that it actually is not going to make a huge difference.
Sure. So really, with the regular sort of domestic hot and cold water, that's always taken from the mains feed. And that, as long as it's a minimum of 2 bar, will not make a difference at all using our systems. Tank-wise, for the boiling water, of course, because the boiling water is stored, there is a set pressure for the boiling. So you're looking at around 3.1 litres a minute. So if you go for our domestic tank, you can exhaust that tank in a full minute. Now, in regards to the filter, like you say, if you go for either of our accessories, say the cold water filter or the cube, with the cold water filter, you will notice a slight reduction in the flow rate, and that's just because it's being filtered on demand. If you've ever really seen a different style of filter tap that just does filtered cold by itself, it's the exact same style of flow, but it won't be too dissimilar from your incoming feed, your incoming mains feed. And really, what we normally say is the output pressure does still depend on the incoming pressure. The incoming mains pressure, of course. But again, as long as it's a minimum of 2 bars on the mains pressure, then there should not be a single issue in regards to pressure for our systems. However, if you went for the chilled and sparkling unit, because it's chilling the water and filtering it on demand, you will notice a further reduction in the flow rate. If you've ever used like an American style fridge freezer before, is the example I gave a bit earlier, it's the exact same style of flow. So it is slower than a regular cold tap, and it is slower than our cold water filter, for example. But you won't be, pulling your hair out waiting for it to fill up a glass of water. Simply, it's just slightly reduced a bit further than our cold water filter. Now, that doesn't really necessarily depend on the incoming pressure, because, of course, it chills the water on demand, so there will always be a reduction.
All right. Our final question, or my final question to you, is around sustainability. This is a very hot topic at the moment, and all companies are looking into it. It's been an important subject and topic for us at Amberth for many years now. And I wanted to know more about Quooker, and how would that product make our kitchen more sustainable and environmental friendly?
Of course, well, if you straight away went with the cube unit, you're already saving all that plastic, as I mentioned before, not to mention a lot of the wasted water, because don't get me wrong, in most cases where you're buying a big pack of bottled water, there's a chance you might leave a bottle in, say, the car, for example, go back, find that it's half finished, and just throw it away because it's been sat there for days, for weeks. Your example with a kettle as well before, where you overfill it, don't end up using all the water, is a really good example, and one that we use quite often in the office, because, I mean, that is one of the main things that you're wasting loads of water on.
Yeah, and
Not to
energy
mention,
as
yeah,
well.
and energy, of course. Essentially, you flicking that kettle on every single day, multiple
Exactly.
times throughout the day, uses more energy than our systems use to run and supply that boiling water. Essentially, we store our water under pressure in that stainless steel tank, which keeps the water above boiling point. And it's only possible to do with the patents that we have due to that pressure inside the tank. But every time you actually access that boiling water, it comes straight through as 100 degrees because it drops in temperature. So we don't need to sort of pump it full of energy to heat it up to 100 degrees every time you need it, as it'll always be ready and available at 100 degrees for when you need it. Our systems work on 3 pence per day if they're not being used at all, and each litre of boiling water only actually works out to be 1 penny. So you're really, really not using a lot of energy with our systems, and will in actual fact make the money you're saving by buying one of these systems in regards to energy costs, you'll make that all back in 5 to 7 years, depending on which product and sort of configuration you go for.
And of course, when you go on holiday, there is a switch, there is a safety switch for you to switch it off, and you can actually kind of shut it down completely for the time when
Absolutely.
you're away.
Yeah, I mean, because
So,
they don't use too much energy sort of ongoing anyway, we would only really suggest turning them off if you're going away for around 3 or so weeks, if not, a bit more than
yeah.
that. Simply, you just won't be using that much energy if they're not being used at all. So that the only reason we suggest turning them off is because after about 3 weeks to 4 weeks, you are, of course, using excess energy that you just don't really need to be using.
Yeah. And in terms of replacing the tap, and I know that the Quooker itself, the factory in Holland, you just installed a number of solar batteries. So the factory, the fabrication is also looking actively into environmentally friendly way of running the production, and also utilizing the product that has been is made redundant or hasn't been used any longer. So I think that's a great way of helping the environment and keeping the company and the product environmentally friendly.
100%. Sustainability is one of our main philosophies here. As you say, I think it was about 5 or so years ago, actually, we added around 900 solar panels on top of the roof of our headquarters. So the roof is absolutely covered in solar panels, and really it just relays on to the fact that us as a company are doing our best to, of course, keep everything as sustainable as possible. In regards to what you mentioned before in replacing the system, our systems, as long as they're, of course, looked after and serviced as often as we recommend, clean in the way that we recommend it as well, these can easily last up to between, 15, 20, if not more years. As long as you are looking after them, because whilst we can offer servicing, we can offer cleaning kits, for example, it is also down to the customer to, maybe
Yeah.
just give it a wipe every so often, just to make it all look very new. So
Yeah.
hand in hand, as long as we're doing what we say we'll do, and you're doing what we ask, then these systems will really last you until you stop caring about it, stop looking after it.
Yeah, longevity of the product is an important part of looking after the environment. Of course, at Amberth, we wanted to work with products which are of a high quality, which will last for longer, and people will enjoy them on a daily basis. But then they don't have to be replaced every year or two. And, we know that the boiling water kettles, they usually go full of lime scale, and sometimes people clean them, sometimes they don't, and then they end up in waste, and the new one is bought. But unfortunately it adds to the wastage and being thrown away. So I think it is extremely important to work with a product like yours, and the hot water tap, which I actually got in my own house as well, and I really enjoy. It's a great addition. It's a fantastic thing to have. It's extremely helpful. It's used on a daily basis, and it can be used in different ways. It's not only for tea and coffee. So
Absolutely.
I would like to now recap all what we said. As I mentioned at the beginning, we're looking at the 5 things to look out for when choosing a kitchen hot water tap. So if we can take our audience, maybe someone joined us only now, through the 5 things that we discussed. So first of all, we looked at the reasons why should we have a kitchen hot water tap. And the most important thing which you mention is that it gives us access to the boiling water, and it's 100 degrees water on demand. It is only from Quooker, that just to make it clear, because it's the only tap that offers 100 degrees. But there is no more waiting for pans or kettle to boil, and you can have an instant cup of tea, or you can use it for cooking purposes. In terms of the styles and finishes, you offer a really nice range of products, which could actually accommodate almost any design, or if not any, design of the kitchen, from very modern to the shaker style, as you offer the flex and fusion with the pull-out nozzle, square or rounded. And we also have an opportunity to introduce Nordic twin taps, which could go either together, or we could add it as an addition to an existing tap. So if someone really likes a certain design of the tap and just wanted the hot water tap as an addition, they always got that option to go for. And in terms of the finishes, we've got the polished chrome, we've got stainless steel, which is very trendy at the moment, brass and black, of course, as well, a new finish added to the modern kitchens. But the most beautiful one, which I would love to have in my kitchen, was 24 carats gold, a plated tap, which I'm pretty sure will shine nicely in any kitchen and will add the sparkle. And in terms of the what we were talking about as well, we've got, if we can add the new tap to the existing kitchen, we actually touched base on it, and it can be sitting separately. You also have got other accessories like a soap dispenser or something that we can actually add. We can also replace existing tap with a Quooker tap. We just need to make sure that we've got enough space underneath in the cupboard, or the cupboard next to the sink unit. And that takes us nicely to the installation, which we discussed. And as you really nicely told us about requirements and what we need, the most important is to have a power supply, which is 13 amp plug. And also we need some space for the Quooker tank. Normally it's within the 600 unit. And as we mentioned, you can also have extension lids, so you can actually install it about up to 2 meters. You mentioned 2 meters away from the sink tap. So if we've got bins underneath the sink and we wanted to use a cupboard next to it, or even cupboard next to it, we probably should be okay within 2 meters. And finally, we were talking about the pressure. Some people can ask about the pressure, and there is lots of discussions on different forums around that. And I'm glad we could share a bit of knowledge and expertise on it. So the pressure of the tap depends on the mains water pressure. It's not like the tap creates its own pressure. It uses the mains water, and ideally, we would like to have a minimum of 2 bar. Of course, when we use the filtered water tap or filtered water part of the tap, that pressure will drop, but that is because it goes through the filters and it needs a little bit water and a little bit more time, and loses the pressure when it's filtered. So it's pretty standard function, and on any filtered water we will notice that drop of the pressure. So it's nothing different to filtered water taps. Is that right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, just the pressure for the regular filtered cold water is just only reduced because of course the filter just needs to remove what's passing through it, so it just slows it by a few seconds more than anything. It's not a huge drop.
And that took us to the end of our show today. And I hope everyone found it very useful and lots of information to take in. Of course, please feel free to contact us on studio@amberth.co.uk if you've got any questions about Quooker. You are always more than welcome to visit our studio in Essex Road in Islington to actually have a go, try it, and maybe you will work out yourself how to put it on without us telling you exactly or showing. So, Dylan, it was a pleasure having you today. Thank you very
Thank
much for joining me.
No worries. Thank you for having me.
Thank you again. And
No
I
worries.
hope to see you next time.
Absolutely.
Bye.
Take care.